those of you who are active on LinkedIn, you're going to recognize my next guest. Raquel Borras is a force to be reckoned with on social media, and I'm here today to learn a little bit not only about her background, but why social media, and particularly LinkedIn platform, is so important for us in the workplace. Raquel, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much. This is such an honor for me, honestly. Like, when you reached out to me, I was just head over heels. So
well, I feel like I know you. And here we've only met briefly at a conference, and I follow you on LinkedIn, and I've watched this dynamic force that you've become on social media, and recently you took a big leap of faith. So let's, in order to get to that point, tell me a little bit about your journey, because you've been in our industry for a while and you're now doing something new.
So I've actually been really blessed in the sense that I came into this industry from a builder, and I was the director of customer service. So I had no idea about mortgages, but I had a friend of mine who was a loan officer, and she invited me to a dinner. And there was, her bosses were there, and they just said, you've got to come over to the mortgage side. And I thought, well, what am I going to do in the mortgage world, right? Well, they were able to create a position for me. So since I came from a builder, they created this client relations manager position where I worked with their loan officer that did all the builder business. So I was the one going out to all the sales offices and being the face, right? And so I was very lucky that they essentially created a position for me that worked, and I loved it. And then from there, we all know the Hispanic homeownership was on a rise, and being that I'm Hispanic and I speak fluent Spanish, they wanted me to go that route and help them create a Latin division to recruit more Hispanic loan officers and so forth, and also create a website in Spanish so that we would have marketing material. So once again, they created a position for me, and it just kind of evolved to where my last position was brand relations manager and social media manager for a mortgage company. And then that's kind of where I found that that's what I absolutely love doing.
And you've now taken a step out on your own, correct?
Right, so I've gone out on my own, and now I have my own business doing personal branding. Obviously people know me in this space in mortgage real estate, but I also would like to kind of cross over to other industries as well.
How important is a personal brand?
Very important. I didn't realize how important it was until I was doing it for a company. And then I realized that it was so important to show your personality. So even though I was essentially the face of a company, I realized that people needed to know, like, and trust me, and that in turn, helped the business, right? Because nobody wants to be sold to. Nobody wants to just hear business, business, business. We're in a world right now where people want to get to know who the person is behind the company brand, or behind the company. They want to see a COO, a CEO of a company. And so I just kind of realized that how important that was. And for whatever reason, I was able to kind of take it to a whole new level. I mean, it was very organic for me. I never was that intentional about it. Now I'm intentional, but in the beginning I wasn't.
Well, you've done a really great job, because as I mentioned, I felt like I knew you before I even got to spend time with you.
Right.
And so you've taken a lot of risks on social media, because I do follow you and I watch your videos. I'm going to admit, I don't watch every single one.
Which is fine, but I have to tell you that you've been absolutely wonderful, so encouraging and supportive. You like a lot of my posts, you'll comment. And so I just have to tell you that I'm extremely grateful, and I really appreciate that, because I think people don't realize how important that is as well, for us to support each other in this endeavor.
Well, and I've seen you take some big risks.
Yes.
And so we were talking right before we sat down to do this interview. You had to get comfortable in your own skin and get comfortable talking about some things that would reinforce your personal brand, but also make sure that it conveyed well on social media and it furthered where you wanted the audience to be with you. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I have to admit, in the beginning, it was difficult. When I first did my videos, I keep them all because I like to see the evolution of them. And so in the beginning, it was difficult. I was very scared, just like everybody else. I was worried what people were going to think of me. Did I look good enough? Was I acting professional enough? Because that's another thing, too, is that I'm in the mortgage real estate industry. We're all very professional, right?
Yes.
But at the same time, as professional as I am, there is a side to me that's goofy, that's very laid back. And so in the beginning, it was kind of a conflict for me to do that. But as I started doing more and more video, I was getting more comfortable. And every now and then I'd show a little side of me, and people were liking it in the sense that they were appreciating that they started seeing my personality. And when I saw that people wanted to see more of it, then I realized that I could be a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera. And it just kind of created just the sense that I can now be who I am in front of the camera, which was wonderful. And that's what I hope for everybody else at the end of the day, for all of us to get in front of the camera in a way where it's just really who we are.
Being authentic.
Yes.
How do you determine, so if I'm looking to expand my presence on LinkedIn, and I think LinkedIn is a great platform, what should I consider about how do I go about doing that professionally? I want more people to know about Marsha Davies, and I want more people to know about mPower. How would you give me advice? What advice would you give me of what I need to do?
Well, I would ask you, why mPower? Why did you create mPower? What was the passion behind it, right? Because then it would come across in a way where we would believe you, we would know that this is your baby, that this is something that you are so passionate about and love. And so the emotion, you wanted the emotion to come across the camera as well. So if we really get to know who you are and why you did this, then it's going to be easier for us to connect as far as just kind of mPower, this is what we do, as far as nobody's going to connect with you if it's just flyers or just simple posts that just explain what mPower is. But when you talk about it, or you have people that are involved with mPower and speak about it, that's where the impact is made.
That's a great idea, because our community of women is so robust and they all feel so connected to it. That's a really great idea.
And I think that's huge. If you can have the people behind mPower talk about their experiences, then that in itself is going to be much of a bigger impact than anything else, I believe. Don't take my word for it.
Oh, trust me, I've watched. Again, you have so many followers, and you're trending. You were trending yesterday. When I looked, you were trending yesterday. And let's wrap up with, so what are some of the don'ts? Is there something we should not do on social media, or something that you learned, whether the hard way or based on the reaction to a post? Is there any tip you can give us on what to avoid on social media?
Well, I tell people that I really had to create an audience and create the trust of people before I really started pushing the envelope. I tell people you can't just get on social media and start talking about all these things that you believe in and so forth. You can eventually, but people are going to look at you like, who is this person that just suddenly came onto this platform and is spewing all their opinions and all this personal stuff, and it just doesn't make sense. It has to make sense. So for me, I created kind of the sense of who I was and the organizations I was involved with. I had, content that made sense. And then once I felt comfortable and I could trust my audience, that's when I started pushing the envelope. And then you just it's very trial and error, because you could get to the edge, right? And then you think, oh gosh, what did I just do? And then people take it in a way where you're like, wow, like I can push it even further. And then there's some things that you'll know. That's the thing, is that people will engage with you. So depending on who's liking your video, what they're saying, you're going to tell whether or not people are taking to it or not.
Right.
But I definitely think that you have to be respectful of the platform at first. Like, have respect for that people are on there for a business originally, and then you can go ahead and bring more of the personal element, which is important. You can't just have it be all business.
Well, and I noticed when you were representing your company that you worked for, over time you started bringing more members inside. So you would do things in the pantry, or you all would be sitting on a table in the conference room talking. And so we started to see kind of what was going on behind the scenes. And so I'm guessing some of your LinkedIn followers are going to get to see what went on behind the scenes here today. So
yes, I will definitely post something. But that's the thing I keep telling others, is that start showing behind the scenes. Start showing things that, what makes the magic happen, right? I think so much
humanizes
of us. Exactly,
things.
because they see us on camera, but they still are very, really uncomfortable getting in front of the camera. So I get a lot of people asking me, what do you do before? Like, that's where we get stuck. That's where we want to see kind of your preparation to get in front of the camera, because it's not easy.
It's not. And not all times are you in front of a camera? Sometimes it's a post or it's a reaction. And
Yes.
I think being thoughtful, being authentic, and really being purposeful. I know you work hard at making sure that you are active and on LinkedIn
Yes.
several times a day.
I take it very seriously, like a job. That's what I tell people, that you can't just expect to get on social media, start putting stuff out there, and then within weeks have this huge following or have this huge presence. It takes time and effort and energy and thoughtfulness and intent,
Yes.
all of those things.
And build trust first.
Yes, build
and
trust
then
first.
really you
Yes.
can take off from there. Well, thank you so much. I think
Thank
this has been
you.
some really great advice, and we have a new idea for how to get mPower.
Yes, and
more
I'm going to
activity.
give you more suggestions after this.
That's awesome. Stay tuned.